Many women don't realize that a simple hug can reveal more about their feelings than any words they say. It's not about the perfect sentence, the right outfit, or the way they try to appear confident. Sometimes it's those few seconds of physical connection that communicate the most. And the interesting thing is, the women who naturally create a strong emotional connection with men are usually not doing anything complicated. They are not following some secret technique or trying to create a perfect moment. They are simply avoiding the small mistakes that many people make without even noticing. Those little mistakes can quietly create distance before a man even has the chance to understand what he feels, and that is what makes them so important. Think about it for a moment. Most of us have grown up hearing the same advice. Be yourself, smile, be confident, and let things happen naturally. And yes, those things matter, but nobody really explains what happens during those tiny moments of physical closeness. Nobody sits you down and says, here is what a man experiences when a woman hugs him. Here is what his body notices before his mind starts analyzing. Here is what makes him feel comfortable and drawn closer, and what can unintentionally make him create distance. That part is rarely discussed, so if you have ever gotten this wrong, understand that you were never given the information to know differently. You were simply doing what felt natural. In this video, we are going to talk about 3 common types of hugs that many women give without realizing they can send the wrong message. And I want to be clear, these are not things only careless people do. These are things that happen with kind, intelligent, genuine women who actually like the man they are with. The surprising part is that these mistakes often happen because a woman cares. She may feel nervous, uncertain, or afraid of showing too much. But without meaning to, she can create a feeling of emotional distance. And then we are going to talk about the 4th type of hug, the one that most people never mention, the one that creates a lasting emotional impression, the one that stays in his mind after the moment is over and makes him think about you later when he is alone with his thoughts. So stay until the end, because that final piece changes the way you look at connection completely. Welcome to Modern Love Code. Here we explore the hidden emotions, behaviors, and psychological patterns that shape relationships and attraction. Before we talk about the different types of hugs, there is one important idea you need to understand first. Men often feel before they consciously think. Many women assume that attraction is built mainly through conversation, through being interesting, funny, intelligent, or having similar values. And yes, those things become important as a connection develops. But during the first moments of physical contact, something else is already happening. Before his mind starts asking questions, his body is already responding. Does she feel comfortable with me? Does she enjoy being close to me? Does she actually want this connection? Or does it feel like she is simply being polite? Those questions are often answered through small physical signals before a single word is spoken. This is not about men judging women or analyzing every little movement. It is simply how human beings work. Our brains are designed to recognize emotional signals through body language, touch, and energy long before we consciously process what is happening. That is why a hug is never just a hug. A hug can communicate warmth. It can communicate hesitation. It can communicate openness. It can communicate distance. And the difference between a hug that naturally creates closeness and one that creates separation is often found in the smallest details. Think about a time when someone hugged you and you instantly knew they were genuinely happy to see you. You didn't need them to explain it. You felt it immediately. Now think about the opposite. A quick formal hug where you could sense the other person was distracted or emotionally somewhere else. You noticed that too. No words were necessary. The same thing happens when a man hugs a woman. He is not sitting there evaluating her performance. He is simply experiencing the feeling of that moment, and those few seconds can leave a stronger impression than many people realize. So let's talk about the mistakes that can unintentionally send the wrong signal. The first one is what I call the patting hug. You know this one. Almost everyone has done it at some point. You move in for a hug, your arms go around him, and then your hand starts lightly tapping his back. Tap, tap, tap. It seems harmless. It might even feel natural. But think about what that gesture is usually associated with. We often pat someone's back when we are comforting them. We do it with someone we are being polite toward. We might do it with a distant relative we only see occasionally. It is not a bad gesture, but emotionally, it often communicates safety without intimacy, and that difference matters. The message his body may receive is, she is keeping a little distance. The difficult part is that you may not intend that message at all. Maybe you are nervous. Maybe you are unsure what to do. Maybe the movement happens automatically because you have always done it. But he cannot read your intention. He can only experience the feeling created in that moment. Many men describe this feeling by saying things like, I don't know what it was, but it felt like she wasn't really comfortable with me. When they try to explain why, they often mention things like feeling a little stiffness or feeling like the other person was already preparing to leave before the hug was even finished. That is the patting hug. It feels completely normal from your side, but from his perspective, it can sometimes feel emotionally guarded. The second mistake is the escape hug. This is the hug that ends almost immediately. You make contact, and before the moment has even settled, you are already stepping away. Now, there are many reasons women do this. Maybe the environment is crowded. Maybe you feel shy. Maybe you do not want to appear overly interested. Maybe you are trying to seem relaxed and confident. But the message that can accidentally come across is very different. He may simply think, she wasn't really interested. The problem is that he usually does not know the reason behind your reaction. He does not automatically think, maybe she was nervous, or maybe she was trying not to seem too eager. He only sees the action. A quick hug followed by immediate distance can easily translate into low interest. And ironically, many women do this because they actually like the person. They try to protect themselves by acting casual. But here is the challenge. Confidence and disinterest can sometimes look identical from the outside. You may think you are showing calmness, while he may interpret it as a lack of connection. And that is what can hurt the most, even when it is completely untrue. You may have been thinking about him all night. You may have been excited to see him. You may have genuinely wanted to be close. But if the hug itself felt distant or disconnected, that is the feeling his mind remembers. That small moment becomes part of the way he experiences you moving forward, whether he consciously realizes it or not. The patting hug, the quick escape, and the distracted hug are happening constantly between people who actually have feelings for each other. They happen between two people who could have something meaningful. Yet these tiny moments quietly create distance without anyone ever realizing where it began. Now let's talk about the kind of hug that creates the opposite effect, the one that stays in his memory. And I want to make something very clear. This is not about pretending. It is not about using some trick or acting out a strategy to make someone like you more. It is simply about allowing your body to express what you genuinely feel. That is the entire idea. A meaningful hug does not come from trying harder. It comes from being fully present for a few seconds. When you move toward him, do it with intention, not dramatically, not like you are creating some movie scene, just with the quiet confidence of someone who has actually chosen this moment. A hug that feels different starts with the feeling behind it. Your arms go around him naturally. There is enough closeness that he can actually feel your presence. Not an uncomfortable squeeze, not something forced, but a real connection, because there is a huge difference between simply making contact with someone and actually making them feel seen. That difference comes from intention. Now, there is one simple thing that most people completely overlook, and it may be the most powerful part of the entire moment. Breathe. Take one slow, genuine breath while you are there. Why? Because your breathing changes your body. It helps you release tension. It allows you to stop overthinking and actually experience the moment. And when your body relaxes, the other person often feels that relaxation too. If you are holding your breath, feeling nervous, waiting for the hug to end, or mentally counting the seconds until you can step away, that tension communicates itself. But when you take one real breath and allow yourself to simply be there, the entire feeling changes. That one breath can transform a hug from something polite and automatic into something warm and emotionally connected. Then comes the part that many people underestimate: how you end the hug. A lot of people start leaving before the moment is actually finished. Their body is already pulling away while the connection is still happening. Instead, allow yourself to stay just a little longer, not so long that it becomes uncomfortable, not so long that it feels forced, just long enough for him to experience that you were actually there. There is a major difference between someone who feels like they were already trying to leave and someone who stays connected until the final second. That small change completely shifts the energy. When you pull away, do it naturally. Let your hands slowly release instead of quickly dropping away like the moment is over and you are already moving on. Because the ending of the hug is often what remains in his mind. That final impression matters. Then, when you step back, look at him for a moment. Not a fake expression, not a carefully practiced smile. Just a genuine look that says, "I'm happy I shared that moment with you." If you truly like someone, that small moment of eye contact can communicate more than a long explanation ever could. It tells him that you were not just physically there, you were emotionally there too. I have heard men describe moments like this years later. A hug that lasted only a few seconds, yet somehow stayed with them. And when they try to explain why it mattered, they often say something like, "I can't really explain it. She just made me feel completely seen." And when you look closer at what actually happened, the pattern is almost always the same. She was present, she wasn't rushing, she allowed the moment to exist, and when it ended, she looked at him like he mattered. That is it, because the truth about attraction is something many people overlook. Connection is rarely created through huge dramatic gestures. It is built through small moments that feel genuine, a real conversation, a meaningful glance, a sincere smile, a simple hug where both people are actually there. Those tiny moments quietly build emotional safety over time. And a genuine hug is one of the strongest examples because it requires no perfect words, no strategy, and no performance. It is simply two people sharing a real human moment for a few seconds. In a world where so many people are distracted, guarded, and constantly somewhere else mentally, genuine presence has become rare. And people remember what feels rare. Now there is something deeper we need to discuss because this is where many women misunderstand themselves. The reason many women give rushed hugs, distant hugs, or distracted hugs is usually not because they do not care. Often it is because they care too much. They are afraid of appearing too interested, afraid of being vulnerable, afraid that showing warmth will make them seem less attractive, afraid that letting someone know they matter will give away too much power. And it makes sense why that fear exists. For years, many women have heard the same messages. Don't show too much. Play it cool. Make him chase you. Don't let him know how much you like him. So a woman meets someone she genuinely likes, and instead of allowing herself to connect, she starts protecting herself. She shortens the hug. She creates distance. She hides her excitement. She tries to appear unaffected. Then she wonders why the other person does not feel closer. But here is what is important to understand. Warmth is not weakness. Being comfortable with closeness is not desperation. A woman who can be kind, open, and present without constantly worrying about how she appears carries a completely different energy. That calm confidence, the feeling of being comfortable in your own presence, is what many people describe as magnetic. Most men are not walking away saying, "She had the perfect hugging technique." They say things like, "I don't know what it was about her. Being around her just felt easy." That feeling comes from presence, not a performance, not a strategy, not a carefully planned move, just presence. Over the years, I have seen many women who were intelligent, attractive, interesting, and genuinely wonderful people still struggle in relationships. Not because they lacked anything, but because during the moments that mattered, they were trapped inside their own thoughts. They were analyzing, they were worrying, they were trying to appear a certain way. They were physically present but emotionally somewhere else. And people can sense that. The women who completely changed their experiences were not the ones who learned more techniques. They were the ones who stopped treating every interaction like a test. They stopped asking, "Am I doing this right?" They stopped trying to manage every impression. They simply allowed themselves to be warm, genuine, and fully there. And the way people responded to them changed completely. Not because they became a different person, but because others could finally feel who they already were. And that is the foundation of real attraction. You cannot deeply connect with someone you never truly get to experience. And the most beautiful part is this. When you finally stop overthinking, stop analyzing yourself from the outside, and simply allow yourself to experience the moment, your natural warmth comes through on its own. You already know what genuine connection feels like. You have experienced the difference between a hug that feels comforting and a hug that feels distant. You know what it feels like when someone is truly happy to be close to you, and you know what it feels like when someone is only going through the motions. That understanding already exists inside you. You do not need to become someone else. You do not need to memorize a formula. You simply need to stop convincing yourself that you have to hold back. So here is the one thing I want you to remember from this entire video, something you can actually practice the next time you see someone you care about. Before you move in for that hug, make one quiet decision. Be completely present. Do not perform. Do not try to create a certain impression. Do not worry about whether you are doing too much or too little. Just be there. Let your arms genuinely hold him. Take one calm breath and allow yourself to relax. Let the hug end naturally instead of escaping from it. And when you step back, give him one honest look. That is all. 4 simple things, and every single one of them comes from the same place. Choosing to truly experience the moment instead of standing outside of yourself and watching it happen. Because that is what he will remember, not the exact words you used, not what you were wearing, not whether every conversation was perfect. He will remember those few seconds when you were fully there with him. That feeling of being genuinely connected is what stays. And when moments like that continue to happen over time, something powerful begins to build. Every small experience of real presence adds to the one before it. Eventually, you become more than someone he finds attractive or interesting. You become someone he thinks about when you are not around, someone he looks forward to seeing, someone who creates a feeling he cannot easily explain but also cannot ignore. Because being around you feels comfortable, it feels natural, it feels like he can simply be himself. And that kind of emotional experience cannot be created through clever words, perfect timing, or trying to say the right thing at the right moment. This is something many people never explain. Women are often taught to focus on the details of attraction, what message to send, when to reply, what to say, how to act, how to appear more desirable. And while communication matters, the moments that often create the deepest impact are much quieter. They happen before words even enter the picture. A look that lasts just a little longer, a touch that feels intentional, a hug where someone can actually feel your presence. Those are the moments people remember. Those are the moments they replay later. Those are the moments that can transform a simple connection from "I like being around her" into "I really want to see her again." And the amazing thing is that once you understand this, you realize how simple it actually is. You do not need to reinvent yourself. You do not need to follow complicated rules. You do not need to become someone who plays games. You only need to stop disappearing from the moments that matter. Stop pulling away when you actually want to stay. Stop protecting yourself when you actually want to connect. Stop observing yourself like you are being judged, and start allowing yourself to experience what is happening. The connection you have been searching for is not something far away. It is not something you have to earn by becoming perfect. It has been available to you all along. You simply have to get out of your own way long enough to let someone experience the real you. And sometimes that begins with something as small as the way you say hello. If this video made you realize you have been doing one of these 3 things, the patting hug, the rushed hug, or the distracted hug, share your thoughts in the comments. I would love to know which one you recognized in yourself. And if you know someone who needs to hear this message, send it to them. Sometimes a small reminder can completely change the way someone approaches connection. For more relationship insights that are practical, honest, and focused on real emotional understanding, subscribe to Modern Love Code and turn on notifications so you never miss the next video. Because in the next episode, we are going to talk about something that happens within the first few moments of seeing someone again after time apart. Something many women misunderstand without even realizing it. Once you understand it, you will never look at that moment the same way again. Until then, remember this. Do not just be present in the room. Be present in the moment. Stop watching yourself from the outside. Allow yourself to be felt. You already know how to create real connection. Sometimes you just need the courage to stop holding it back.